Okay, in this screencast video, I'm going to teach everybody how to use scientific calculators correctly to type in scientific notation. So let's get going to this Word document that I've created as soon as I can find it. There we go. And you may be using the TI-83 or another version of the TI. You might be using, let's see if I can get this there. You might be using a Casio scientific calculator, or you may be using the calculator that's built into the laptop that you have, or maybe one you found online. So whatever one you're using, as long as it's a scientific calculator or has a scientific mode, you're going to be able to use a certain function that'll cut down on the amount of buttons you have to push and cut down on your mistakes for putting in. Because mostly, especially when you do equations with scientific notation terms in them, if you're not typing those terms in correctly or using parentheses when you need to, you're never going to get the right answer because you're multiplying an exponent when you should be having that in a separate quantity or what have you. So just pay attention in this video and identify what kind of calculator you're using, and then rectify it with the directions that I'm giving here. So let's start with the Casio that you see in this Word document on the display. This is a scientific calculator. Casio makes the ones that I prefer. And this is pretty easy. I'm going to show you which buttons you need to click. Disregard whatever's on the screen in the picture. Yours should be blank. Hit the clear button or whatever. What you're going to do is first hit in an open parenthesis by clicking on the parenthesis button, then type in your coefficient. So let's say we wanted to put in 6.67, and then we want to put in times 10 to the whatever exponent. Well, instead of actually typing in a times and then 10 and then finding that little caret button and typing that in, the calculator has a built-in button that you can do all that in one step, and that's the EXP button right here next to the decimal button for this calculator. So after your coefficient, you just hit in exponent, and now you should see a little E, a capital E, after your coefficient. Then you just hit in your negative 11 or whatever your exponent is going to be, and then a close parenthesis. And that's all you need to do for that. So that's how we use scientific notation properly on this calculator. It's different for other calculators. So you can see in parentheses right up here, I just put open parenthesis, type in your coefficient, the EXP button, then the exponent, and close parenthesis, and that's all you need to do. For these calculators, the TIs, there is the second EE function that we're going to use. So again, you're going to type in an open parenthesis, then so you do that, and then 6.67, and there's no EXP button on this one, so we're gonna access the function by hitting the second key, which is yellow on the 83 and up, and I think is light blue on the 30Xs. Maybe it's a different color for some of the newer TI-80s. But anyway, coefficient, and then the second button. And then you're going to hit the comma button, so you're going to access that EE function, which is right above the comma. There's two little capital E's. And after that, you should see a little E, again, capital E, put on your calculator, and it's just waiting for you to put in the exponent. You don't need to type in the caret button or anything like that. Just hit the exponent, so in our case it would be negative 11. And then close parenthesis, and again, nothing's showing up here. But on your calculator, you should now see open parenthesis, 6.67 E, and then negative 11 if you did a negative 11 exponent. On the 30X, it's the same thing. Open parenthesis, which is right there, 6.67, and then hit your second button. And then on this one, it's the X to the negative 1, but it's still you're accessing that EE function, which should be right above that key. Hit that key, now you should have your little E, and then type in your exponent. If you're doing negative 11, that would be negative 11, and then close parenthesis like that. And you should, on your calculator, if you're using the 30, you should use the or you should see the 6.67 times 10, which is the e, to the negative 11. All right. So hopefully this helps. Now one more. So that's for these handhelds if you're using either one of those. And if you're using any other version, you should either have an EXP button or you should have the EE function somewhere that you can see. And to access the EE function, you're probably going to hit the second and then whatever key the EE is above. What if we're using our computer calculators? Well, when you open up your calculator, you may see the standard calculator. And you want to change that right away by going to View and changing it to Scientific. And that'll expand your calculator there to a little bit more robust and have all your scientific functions. So in this one, again, we always start with an open parentheses. Let's type in our coefficient again, 6.67, which coincidentally, for those of you who are in a gravity unit or anything, that's capital G. That's the gravitational constant that you'll be typing in a million times to do your gravity problems. So 6.67 is our coefficient. And notice our parentheses already up here. Now, how do we type in the exponent or the times 10 to the part in the scientific calculator here? We've got the EXP button here. And when we hit that, it puts in a little e, which I don't really like because a little e in math actually means something different. It's a different number. But it's waiting for us to put in an exponent. Now, right now, our exponent is positive. What if we wanted to do a negative exponent? Well, we do have the change your sign, but I find that it's better to just do this, put in a negative, okay, 11, like that, maybe. Possibly not. No, we don't want to do that. Scratch what I just said there. All clear. Type in your parenthesis, 6.67. That was for a different online calculator that I was just referring to, not this one. So coefficient again, exponent, hit your sign. That'll change this to negative if you want to do a negative number. Change it back if you want to do a positive. Okay, we want to do a negative 11, like that, and then close parenthesis. And as soon as you close parenthesis, it's going to change it to the quantity that it actually is. This is in standard form. If it's a really big number, then it'll try and display it'll display it in scientific notation. But if it can display it in the window, it will display it in the window. So if you have another quantity then to multiply to that, you can just hit your multiplication button. Let's say we want to times that number by 2.23 times 10 to the 9th, we'll say. Okay, close parentheses there. Now it already did that operation for you. You don't have to hit equals. See, it has this, and it's already changed it. Now, what if we want to divide that by some number? One more practice with scientific notation. Let's do 8.89 times 10 to the 25th. Okay, and then, of course, close parenthesis because we have our open parenthesis there. And there you go. Now you got this huge number. Now the unfortunate thing about the scientific calculator for your computer's calculator is that it won't put it in scientific notation. I'm pretty sure. You may be able to find some kind of a setting that you can do. No, that's programmer. We don't want to do that. And of course, we just lost all our work, but that's okay. You remember that big number out there if you don't just rewind. You have to convert that to scientific notation, which is why I don't really like using this one. So if I have if I have a handheld nearby, either one of these or something like this, of course I'm going to use this because it'll display the answer in scientific notation, which is nice. All right. So hopefully that helps with you guys entering in your numbers in scientific notation. Seems to be the Achilles heel of most students who are working with numbers that are written in scientific notation. You want to make sure you're typing them in correctly. All right, and if you have any further questions, just shoot me an email about your specific calculator, or if you can, drop by and see me, and I'll tutor you.